In the heart of the Wild West, where the sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, a lone cowboy named Jake rode silently across the vast plains. The chill of the dawn wrapped around him like an old blanket, but he paid it no mind. He had learned to ignore discomfort long ago, his mind set on finding solace beyond the horizon. With each creak of his saddle, he thought of the stories that the wind whispered through the grass, tales of lost souls and hidden treasures. As Jake approached a secluded ridge, he noticed a flicker of movement in the distance. Curiosity piqued, he urged his horse forward. The breath of the morning carried with it the scent of pine and earth, leading him towards the unseen. Just as he reached the edge of a steep drop, he spotted figures below, members of a tribe, their colorful garments bright against the muted landscape. They were gathered around something, their voices a soft murmur that danced on the wind. Jake dismounted and cautiously made his way down the rocky path, careful not to disturb the peace of the gathering. He drew closer, peering through the brush, his heart quickening as he realized they were tending to a man, a weary figure wrapped in tattered blankets, shivering even in the embrace of the sun's nascent warmth. The cowboy's trained eye could see the man was out of sorts, his skin pale and his breaths shallow. "He's just tired and cold," one of the tribe members said. A woman adorned with intricate beadwork and a feathered headdress. Her voice was calm yet firm, reassuring those around her. The others nodded as they worked together, wrapping the man in their warmth, passing him water and murmuring soothing words. Jake felt a tug at his conscience. He had witnessed countless acts of survival in the Wild West, yet this scene struck a chord deep inside him. He remembered his own struggle, the long nights spent by flickering campfires, the gnawing hunger, the bone-deep fatigue from endless days in the saddle. This man needed help, and while Jake hesitated, memories of his own hardships flooded his mind. He stepped forward, breaking the spell of silence that hung in the air. "Can I help?" he asked, his voice rough but sincere. The tribe members turned to him, wary yet curious. He could sense their hesitation but pressed on. "There's strength in numbers. We can do this together." The woman with the feathered headdress regarded him thoughtfully, then nodded. "We welcome your help, cowboy. The land teaches us to share our burdens." And with that, Jake joined the tribe, working alongside them to bring life back to the weary man. They passed around water skins, shared stories of their travels, each tale weaving a stronger bond among them. As they worked, Jake learned that the man had journeyed far from his village, searching for a lost relative, a journey that had nearly cost him his life. He felt an unspoken connection to the man, recognizing the worn look in his eyes as a reflection of his own struggles. The cowboy shared his own stories of lost cattle and treacherous trails, and the tribe listened intently, fascinated by this stranger who possessed a heart full of resilience. Time slipped away, and as the sun climbed higher in the sky, the man regained his strength. He smiled softly, the warmth of the tribe's spirits seeping into his bones. Just as he began to stand, the tribe broke into laughter, light, musical sounds that filled the air, lifting Jake's heart. He realized then that these moments of connection, of shared humanity, were what kept them all alive in a harsh world. "Thank you, friend," the man said to Jake, his voice stronger now, a hint of gratitude coloring his tone. "You reminded me of hope when I thought it was lost." The cowboy nodded, a smile breaking across his weathered face. His heart swelled, knowing that he had fought through his own isolation to become part of something beautiful. It was a reminder that life in the Wild West wasn't just about survival. It was about community, compassion, and the bonds formed among those weathering the same storms. As the day unfolded, the tribe invited Jake to join them for a feast to honor the man's recovery. To him, it felt less like an invitation and more like a calling. They cooked over a crackling fire, sharing food and laughter as the sun dipped low in the sky, transforming the world into a canvas of gold and crimson. Under stars that emerged one by one, brushing the darkness with sparks of light, Jake felt a shift within himself. The cowboy who once rode alone now found joy in the company of others, realizing that every soul was a part of the vast tapestry of life. They all had stories to tell, burdens to share, and triumphs to celebrate together. In that hidden canyon, Jake discovered more than a refuge from the cold. He found a connection that would forever alter his journey. He had entered the lives of these people as a stranger, but through kindness and shared experience, he emerged not just as a cowboy, but as a brother among them. As the fire crackled and the night deepened, Jake looked around at the faces lit by flames and felt a contentment wash over him. The Wild West was fierce and unforgiving, but in its arms also lay the potential for community and healing, a reminder that sometimes a simple act of kindness could guide a weary traveler home. Under the vast canopy of stars, Jake felt an overwhelming sense of peace. Laughter rang out, mingling with the sounds of the crackling fire, and for the first time in a long while, he allowed himself to relax. The tribe's hospitality wrapped around him like a warm embrace, easing the burdens he had carried silently for years. As they ate, Jake learned more about their traditions. The woman he had first spoken to, who had taken charge of tending to the injured man, was named Taya. She explained the importance of community in their culture, how they believed every person was a thread in the fabric of their tribe. When one thread is weak, the entire tapestry suffers, she said, her eyes sparkling with firelight. Jake absorbed her words, reflecting on his own solitary life. Out in the wilderness, he had always felt the weight of his solitude. The harshness of the environment was often matched only by the isolation he experienced. But here, among these people, he felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps belonging was possible after all. As the food disappeared, stories flowed even more freely. The man who had been rescued, now introduced as Kanu, shared tales of his people, their history woven into the very fabric of the land. He spoke of hunting techniques passed down through generations and the sacred spirits that roamed the mountains and valleys. Each word painted a vivid image in Jake's mind, transporting him to places he had never seen but could envision vividly. Jake felt the warmth of connection build as he shared his own life's adventures. He recounted his travels through the wild, encounters with outlaws and narrow escapes from danger. Each story drew laughter or gasps from the tribe, and he noticed how they leaned in, captivated by his words. For the first time in a long time, he experienced the joy of storytelling, not just as a way to pass time, but as a means to connect. As the night deepened, a hush fell over the group. Taya stood and called for silence, encouraging everyone to share their hopes for the coming days. One by one, they expressed dreams that reflected the essence of their community, a strong harvest, peaceful coexistence with nature, and the well-being of their children. When it was Jake's turn, he hesitated. The words seemed lodged in his throat, but he quickly found them. "I hope to always remember this night," he said, looking around at the circle of faces illuminated by the fire. "I've spent so long feeling like a ghost in my own life. Tonight, I feel alive." A soft murmur of approval swept through the group, nodding heads in agreement. The sincerity behind his words resonated deeply. They understood him in a way that surprised Jake, sharing struggles and hardships, the longing for connection evident in the glimmers of their eyes. As the fire dwindled to embers, Taya proposed they take turns singing songs that had been passed down through generations. The melody that filled the air was hauntingly beautiful, a mixture of sorrow and celebration. Each voice blended harmoniously, wrapping around Jake, drawing him in closer. For the first time in years, he felt seen, felt included. As the last song faded, the fire spluttered, sending sparks into the night, and a profound silence washed over them. Kanu turned to Jake, his expression earnest. "There's a reason you found us tonight, Cowboy," he said. "The world is vast, full of dangers, but it also teems with opportunities. Together we can protect what is sacred." Jake felt a jolt. The idea of belonging to something greater than himself resonated in his soul. "What do you mean?" he asked, intrigued. Taya exchanged a glance with Kanu before nodding at Jake. "We are facing challenges," she explained. "External threats that seek to take our land and our way of life. We are all bound together. Your strength and skills can help us. In return, you will have a place among us." Jake absorbed her words. He had spent years fighting for himself. The thought of using his skills to protect a community sparked a light within him. "I'm learning that strength is more than just survival," he said slowly. "It's about standing beside one another." Taya smiled, a radiant expression that could light the darkest night. "Then join us, Jake. Help us hunt and gather, share strategies. Let each of us lift the other." The proposition stirred emotions he hadn't anticipated. For so long he had been just a lone cowboy, but the idea of sharing burdens and facing challenges ignited a sense of purpose. He opened his mouth to respond, but before he could speak, a rustle in the trees caught their attention. The group fell silent again, straining to hear. Outside the flickering circle of light, shadows danced between the trees, and a sense of unease filled the air. Jake instinctively tightened his grip on his rifle, his instincts kicking in. Taya's expression shifted, her eyes narrowing. Stay alert. It could be trouble. Just then, a figure emerged, a silhouette cloaked in darkness. The tension thickened. Jake prepared for confrontation, ready for whatever threat lay ahead. But as the figure stepped into the firelight, relief and surprise washed over him. It was another member of the tribe, breathless and wide-eyed. "Riders are coming!" the newcomer exclaimed, panic clear in his voice. Jake's heart raced. Riders in the Wild West were rarely good news. He swiveled to Taya and Kanu, adrenaline surging. "What do we do?" he asked, a mix of fear and resolve coursing through him. "Prepare, we need to protect our home," Kanu ordered, rallying the tribe into action. Jake felt a rush of purpose surge through him. This was his moment to step up. "Tell me what you need," he asserted, eyes locked on Kanu. "Gather the weapons, we'll stand together," Kanu declared. As the tribe moved quickly, Jake found himself at the center of their preparations. He felt a sense of belonging ignite within him, solidifying his choice. This was no longer just about survival. It was about standing up for what was right, for family. Together, they formed a line of defense, united against the oncoming threat. Though Jake had once traveled the Wild West as a solitary figure, he was now part of a community, facing unknown dangers head-on. The bonds formed around the fire that night would be tested, but deep down he knew that this was his new path, a journey not undertaken alone, but alongside those who embraced him as one of their own. As they faced the approaching riders, Jake felt a sense of determination rise within him. This was just the beginning, and he was ready to fight for his newfound family. The night air grew thick with tension as the distant sound of hoofbeats echoed through the canyon. Each thud resonated like a war drum, building anxiety in the hearts of the tribe. Jake felt the weight of his rifle in his hands, its familiar grip calming him as he scanned the perimeter, his senses heightened. "They'll be here soon," Taya murmured, her eyes scanning the darkness. "We need to be ready." Jake nodded, his heart pounding with both fear and excitement. He could feel the adrenaline surging through his veins as he took position beside Kanu. The tribe members moved quickly and efficiently, gathering weapons and positioning themselves behind the natural cover of the canyon walls. Jake was impressed by their unity and focus. Here was a community that looked out for each other, that stood together in the face of danger. As the riders drew closer, Jake could finally make out their silhouettes against the darkened sky. They rode in tight formation, 5 figures cloaked in shadows, their horses moving with a confidence that hinted at something sinister. The cowboy's jaw tightened. He could sense that they weren't here for a friendly visit. "They've come for trouble," Kanu said lowly, eyes narrowing. "We won't back down. We fight for our land." Jake felt a swell of resolve within him. This was truly a moment that separated the men from the boys, the fighters from the cowards. He understood now that this wasn't just about protecting a piece of land. It was about preserving a way of life that meant family, community, and respect. As Kanu raised a hand, signaling silence, the tribe members became still, blending into the shadows like ghosts. Jake had never been part of something this formidable. He was no longer a lone cowboy. He was part of a coalition of strength and courage. Suddenly the riders halted at a distance, their horses snorting and shifting, sensing the tension in the air. The lead rider, a burly man with a scar across his cheek, stepped forward, and Jake could feel the animosity radiating off him like heat. "We know you're hiding Apache here," he called out, voice deep and harsh, cutting through the night. Kanu stepped forward, his posture unyielding. "This is our valley. Leave now, and we'll forget this encounter." A derisive laugh erupted from the rider, echoing off the canyon walls. "Forget? You think you can just hide your trespassers and tell us what to do? This is our territory, and we won't let you scum poison our land." Jake could see Taya's fists clench beside him, her jaw set. He could almost feel the collective heartbeat of the tribe, racing with the adrenaline of impending conflict. The tension was palpable, and every man and woman there understood what was on the line. You might want to rethink that, partner, Jake called out, stepping into Kanu's line of sight. He felt the energy of the tribe behind him, and it gave him courage. You'll find us more than a match if it comes to blows. The rider's eyes narrowed, evaluating Jake like a predator sizing up its prey. A cowboy trying to act tough for some savages? You don't belong here. With rapid fire, the tension snapped like a drawn bowstring. The tribe surged forward, their momentum like a rushing tide, and Jake felt himself propelled along with them. They formed a tight line, rifles and bows raised, ready to defend their ground. The distant stars seemed to dim as the confrontation escalated. Jake took a breath, focusing on the burly rider. We're not going to back down, we're prepared to fight for each other. The riders exchanged uneasy glances, their bravado wavering. But the lead rider, undeterred, pulled a pistol from his holster, pointing it at Jake. Then let's see how brave you really are. Chaos erupted as the riders charged forward, but the tribe held their ground, drawing upon their training as they responded with unwavering precision. Arrows whistled through the air, and the thunder of hooves filled the canyon. Jake's instincts kicked in, and he found himself firing alongside the tribesmen, adrenaline giving him clarity as he focused on his targets. The chaos unfolded in front of him, but he had never felt more alive. It was as if he had finally found his purpose. The first rider tumbled from his horse, the arrow finding its mark. A fierce shout echoed through the canyon as Kanu moved like a flash of lightning, tackling another would-be attacker off his mount. The tribe moved together like a well-rehearsed dance, each member supporting the other, celebrating the spirit of their bond. But even as they fought back, Jake felt an unmistakable sense of dread gnawing at him. The world of violence was brutal, and he knew that with every encounter like this, lives would be lost. A quick glance to the right showed Taya deftly defending herself, her strength undeniable. The sight fueled his resolve. "Stay together," Jake shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Protect each other." As fighting raged on, the riders realized they were outmatched, the fierce resistance of the tribe catching them off guard. It wasn't just a physical battle, it was about spirit, and Jake could see that in each determined face around him. As the last rider fell to the dust, the remaining few turned and fled, scattering into the darkness, leaving nothing but echoes trailing behind them. The victorious energy that lingered was quickly dampened by the realization of what had just transpired. Silence settled like a blanket over the canyon, broken only by the ragged breaths of the tribesmen and Jake. He surveyed the small battleground, eyes falling on the fallen. The weight of human life weighed heavy on his conscience, and for a moment he thought not of victory, but of the cost inherent in such conflicts. Kanu approached Jake, gratitude shining in his eyes. "You fought well," he said, placing a hand on Jake's shoulder. "I didn't do it just for me," Jake replied, glancing at the tribe, at Taya, who nodded in appreciation. "I did it for all of us. We're stronger together." A sense of pride blossomed in his chest, and he realized that he was no longer just a wandering cowboy. He was part of a family bound not by blood, but by belief and shared struggles. So a sense of purpose had formed where once there was only solitude, and he understood that this fight was not just about the land, it was about the very essence of who they were. As dawn broke over the horizon, painting the world in hues of gold, Jake looked at the tribe gathered around him, their faces a mix of relief and newfound determination. The battle had brought them closer, forged bonds deeper than steel. If the Wild West was a place of struggle, it was also a landscape filled with hope and resilience, a reminder that even amid darkness, light could be found in unity. Together, they would face whatever challenges the future held, no longer as strangers, but as brothers and sisters standing shoulder to shoulder, ready to defend their home. As dawn's golden rays broke over the canyon, painting everything in a warm glow, Jake felt the weight of the night's events settle into the fabric of his being. The battle had been fierce, and though victory tasted sweet, it left a bitter aftertaste of loss and reflection. The riders had fled, but the remnants of their confrontation lingered in the air, a reminder that danger was never far in the Wild West. "We should gather ourselves," Taya said, her voice steady. "We need to check on everyone and tend to the wounded." Jake nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose coursing through him. The tribe had stood firm against adversity, and he was determined to ensure that their bonds remained strong. "I'll help," he replied, moving to assist where he could. The tribe members flocked together, sharing quiet words of gratitude and support. Those who had fought began to assess the condition of their comrades, ensuring everyone was accounted for. Jake felt a surge of admiration as he watched Taya lead with grace and authority, her presence a calming force amid the chaos. He moved among the tribe, helping to patch wounds and offering water where needed. In those moments, he felt the weight of something significant. He was more than just an outsider. He was part of this community, woven into its tapestry. With each interaction, he felt the threads of connection tighten, binding him closer to those around him. As the sun rose higher, illuminating the canyon with brilliant light, Kanu approached Jake, his brow furrowed. "We lost a few arrows in the fight," he remarked. "We need to retrace our steps and recover as many as we can." Jake agreed, recognizing the importance of maintaining their supplies. "I'll go with you," he offered, eager to contribute in any way he could. The two men set off together, moving back toward the site of the previous night's skirmish. The earth was still cool beneath their feet, and birds began to sing as the world awakened from its slumber. Jake couldn't shake the feeling that what had happened the night before was destined to change him forever. He had found purpose, family, and a reason to fight. While Kanu scanned the ground for arrows, Jake couldn't help but reflect on the tribe's strength. Their unity was an anchor, and it was a quality he had been searching for his entire life. He had ridden the plains alone for so long, but now he felt a sense of belonging. It stirred something primal and profound within him, a desire to protect what mattered. "Look!" Kanu called out, pointing to an arrow glinting in the morning light, half buried in the dirt. Jake rushed over, pulling it free. "One down, a few more to find," he smiled, the camaraderie lifting their spirits. They continued their search, moving in tandem, retracing their steps with an unspoken understanding. As they walked, they exchanged stories, pieces of their lives that formed a bridge between their two worlds. Jake shared tales of harsh winters, of cattle drives gone wrong, and the uncanny tales of the riders he had encountered. Kanu responded with history spoken through his people, recounting victories and tragedies that shaped the tribe. Every word solidified their bond, and Jake realized this was not merely an exchange of stories, it was an exchange of values and cultures. He felt himself opening up in ways he had thought impossible. Each tale shared was a thread woven into the fabric of their unity. After a while, as they reached the edge of the canyon, they stumbled upon more arrows, a small victory that added to their growing sense of accomplishment. "Great work," Kanu said, a smile breaking over his rugged face. Pride swelled within Jake as they filled their arms with the recovered arrows. It was a small but significant task, a testament to their teamwork and determination. Together they walked back, and even as they approached the tribe, the atmosphere buzzed with purpose. Jake noticed volunteers gathering resources, preparing food, and fortifying their surroundings. The energy was tangible, a combination of relief and resilience. Taya greeted them with a look of approval, her expression grateful for their efforts. "Well done, both of you," she praised. "This will help us prepare for anything else that may come." As evening approached, the tribe gathered for a meal, the sense of cooked meat and freshly foraged herbs wafting through the air, drawing everyone together. Around the central fire, laughter mingled with the clinking of utensils as they shared stories and celebrated their survival. Jake felt overwhelmed by happiness. This felt like a family meal, filled with warmth and connection. Laughter echoed against the canyon walls, and in those moments, the scars of battle began to fade. A newfound gratitude settled over him, and he understood the depth of what they had built together. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the land, Kanu stood and raised a cup filled with water, calling for silent attention. "To our people, to the land, and the bonds we've forged. May we always protect each other and face whatever comes." Jake joined in the chorus of voices, raising his own cup high. "To family," he shouted, feeling an elation that warmed his core. The night wrapped around them like a protective embrace, and with every shared moment and story exchanged, Jake realized this was his new home. He understood that the Wild West was not merely a land of dust and danger. It was a canvas for bravery, honor, and community. And it was here, under a blanket of stars, that Jake made a vow, a promise to himself, to the tribe, and to the land. that he would stand as a guardian, standing firm against the storms and nurturing the bonds that had woven them together. As the night drifted on, laughter and stories continued to resonate in the air, creating an atmosphere thick with hope. The battles might not be over, but for now they had each other. That was enough. And as the embers glowed softly, Jake felt the weight of the past lift, knowing he had finally found his place in the world, the place where he truly belonged.